Hello, 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 everyone. I have a quick question for you. Do you ever feel like what you do for your clients is more valuable than what you're actually charging them for? Or do you feel like you struggle to value what you do and ultimately charge for it? So I'm kind of well known for this quote. And I said this one time at an event and it stuck like years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. But it basically says this: if you don't value your time, neither will others. Let that sink in for a second. So stop giving away your time and talents and start charging for them. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Our special guest is going to give us tons of strategies around just this: more money, more money, more money. How do we get to a place where we feel comfortable charging our worth, essentially? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. As you guys are coming in, I just want to ask a quick question. Do you feel like you're getting paid what you're worth? No judgment here. So seriously, a lot of us struggle with this. And if you feel like you're struggling, then this is going to be value-based to you. So hey, Ty, good to see you. And I see Josh is here. Good morning. Well, it's good afternoon here. You say you're in Texas? Like, you just must be getting up and going this morning. So how was everybody's 4th? Like, I know, obviously we just celebrated the 4th. Technically today in the US is a holiday, but our guest today is from down under. So I guess they're probably not celebrating the 4th with us, but still, so we've got, here's somebody saying overtired, underpaid. Yeah. And I think a lot of us, I've certainly struggled with this over the years, especially in my earlier businesses where I was afraid to charge what my value was. So I totally understand that. And I'm just curious, like I say, feel free to drop in. Like, what is your struggle? Is it that you don't feel like you're quite, there's this imposter syndrome thing where you're like, well, am I good enough to charge more money? Or did you just not start out charging enough? And then, here you are later, overtired, underpaid, and you're not sure how to circle back. So there's lots of scenarios where we just don't we're not in a place where we're, making what we should be making. So, hey, Camilla, good to see you. Sweden is in the house. What time is it where you are? I'm always curious about time zones. Like I said before, our special guest today is from Australia, and I think it's early morning for her. So the fact that she's here is like such a blessing. Normally we do our show at 10 a.m. I'm like, that's the middle of the night for her. We're going to have to like move some things around. So I'm glad you guys are here. Okay, so a couple of quick things before I bring Melanie on, and we're going to get with this. We do giveaways on all of the shows. For those of you who've been with me before, you probably know this. And today we're going to be giving away, let's see what we are going to be giving away. Our special sponsor for this show is the Business Builders Academy. And basically that's a training portal for anyone who is trying to figure out how to build an online business and needs to know certain things. So, but you can't be in a place or you don't want to be in a place where you're in information overload. So the Business Builders Academy is I call them mini courses. So there's like nuggets of small bits of information. They're all value-based. They're all things you need to be doing in your business, but it's not like a ton of stuff where you log in and you feel like you have to spend, 3 months learning one thing. There's a lot of different things in the Business Builders Academy. We're going to be giving away, we're picking one winner today that's going to get 3-month access to the Business Builders Academy. So that's one of the prizes today. And then our special guest, Melanie, that you guys are going to get to meet in just a moment, has a new book coming out in the fall. Now, I know it's the fall before it's going to be here, but I feel like it's going to be so value-based to the right people today that we're going to be giving away 2 of those as well. So Melanie's upcoming book, Command the Price You Deserve. I tell you, everybody is going to ultimately, I think, need this. So regardless of whether you feel like you're charging enough or not, as our business grows and our skill sets grow, so should the amount of money that we charge our clients as well. So figuring out what that looks like for you, it'll be a constant evolution for sure. So I'm excited about the 2 giveaways. How do you win? So I have this like strategy. It's all you have to do is share your aha moments in the area down under this video. I can't say that C word. Okay. So drop in your aha moments. An aha moment is if you hear something that you're like, I didn't know that. And you feel free to go like that, okay? It's not, yeah, you don't have to do that. If you hear something that you knew but you needed to hear it again, feel free to drop those in. We put you in the wheel and we draw at the end of the show. So you could win the 3 months membership to the Business Builders Academy, or we're giving away the 2 copies of Melanie's book. Now you won't get that until the fall, so just keep that in mind, but you will get it as soon as it's released. We'll make sure it gets ordered and sent to you. So one last thing before we bring Melanie on. We love the love around here. So if you know somebody that's going to get value from this or would get value from it, pass it on, sprinkle it out into the world, share emojis as we go. If you hear something you love, let us know. But we love the love. So feel free to pass it along, tag somebody if you want to. And if you are brand new to this show, have never been on one of my shows before, first, let me introduce myself, and then please introduce yourself with the hashtag new so I can say hi. But my name is Kim Garst. I am a monetization strategist specifically for online businesses. I love helping people make more money, which is one of the reasons that I'm so excited about today's guest. I love finding ways for people to make more money in their business. I've owned multiple businesses over the years. I've been an online entrepreneur for about 30 years. So I've been around a minute or two, and I'm very passionate about sharing what I know and bringing other people to you that will share what they know so that you can ultimately grow in your businesses. So all that said, don't forget to drop in hashtag new. So I don't see any new people yet, but I'm going to say, hey, if I do see your name pop up. And let me tell you a little bit about Melanie real quick. So I was introduced to Melanie through my sweet friend Jody Millward, who's also from down under in Australia. And she just shared how awesome Melanie was. And I'm like, I got to know this girl. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, will you come on the show? And she said, yes. And here we are. Okay. So let me give you a little bit of detail about her. She is very passionate, like I am, about empowering women in business to command the price they deserve and design a business that they love. And yes, it is possible. You can do both. One that is profitable and serves them, and so that they can work with the right clients who value and appreciate them. Okay, so any of you guys want to take a deep breath right now and say, yeah, a lot of the clients I have might not exactly be the right ones. So put your hands together for Melanie. Hey, Melanie.
G'day.
I love that. Y'all listen to that. When I first started on Periscope way back in the day, everybody had cool accents, and I'm like, I need an accent, and everybody's like, you have one. I'm like, so when I hear your accent, I'm just like, talk to me.
I do have a pretty good hey y'all there.
Yes,
as well.
You do. Yes,
I just spent 3 months in Nashville last year. I know, in the middle of a pandemic, I traveled from Australia And I had a lot of fun. I really love Tennessee, Nashville. It was a great trip. Great to be in the States.
Yeah, well, anytime you come up this way, let us know. I think Jody said she was coming to my neck of the woods in November. So she's going to come to Florida. So I'm excited. We're going to get together and do some cool stuff. So that should be fun. Okay, so let me start with a little bit of your journey. Like, how did you get started with your current business model? Like, I know you teach people how to scale their businesses right now and ultimately price themselves at a place where they deserve, the praise, get paid what they deserve. So how'd you get started with all of this? What got you on this path?
Well, I'm an accountant by trade. Don't hold that against me. I promise you I'm not boring. I'm an accountant by trade, and pretty much since I was 19, and I've just hit the big 50 now, I have been helping small business owners really understand their numbers, measure their profitability, and grow businesses. And around about 2014, I sold on my accounting business and jumped into work with a software company called Xero, Xero, which is really big in Australia and New Zealand. They're also in the States as well. So I was looking after their bookkeeping channel all over the world. And so I did a lot of training around helping accountants and bookkeepers actually understand how, by adjusting their own pricing and working with the right clients, was able to allow them to create more profitability in their own business. And that's really where my real love and structure and training with pricing developed. This business I have now has been running for about 3 years, and not only have I helped thousands of accountants and bookkeepers adjust their own pricing models, I've also helped women actually grow and scale online educational businesses like my own. So essentially what I'm doing is helping people in business really go forth and command the price that they deserve for the value they deliver, and have healthy businesses that serve them, whether it's they want to earn $500 a month or $500,000 a month. The revenue figure doesn't matter. What matters is that you're designing a business that serves you, the client, and you get paid what you're worth. That's the whole heart of everything that we do.
And one thing I heard you say, I want to just pull it out of what you said, because I think it's pertinent. If somebody is out there listening or watching and they're not quite sure exactly if they're on the right road, what I'm hearing is you're just like a lot of us. We've evolved. We took something we knew and we designed a business around it, and then you refine that to get to a place where you're making the money you want to make, but still have a life that you love. And I think that's so important. I think sometimes when we start, we don't exactly know, we're still in that messy place, right? And so you just get on the road and you don't have to know everything out the gate. So, well, let me ask you this question, because I know a lot of people worry, I think, about, charging their value out the gate. So can everyone charge their value, even if they're just getting started and they might not have a lot of street cred yet?
Absolutely, Kim. It's a great question. And one of the things that I've learnt along my journey, and you being a marketer and a monetization strategist, you would understand this very well. It's actually all about testing. It's testing our comfort level and practicing our sales process, because to actually be able to price properly, you've got to have a sales process. If you don't have that process, you kind of don't have anything to lead the client through. So you want to make sure that you've got something comfortable there for you so you know what you're doing. But it's also okay to test the market, because if you're new and you're starting to work with people, you're not going to know what people are prepared to pay until you test what that value is. So even when I'm launching a new product to market, I'll test all sorts of different prices. And when I find the one that gets the most reaction and the best result, I know, woo, okay, that really worked. That's the right value spot and the right price. And so we do more of what works and pretty much kick out what doesn't. And so one of the things that I would say, if you're nervous about commanding the price you deserve, just test it. You seriously can't make a mistake. And if you need some help with actually implementing the sales process, get the help required, because that sales training will give you the support and the methodology of how to actually respond to different types of objections. What this is actually really about, Kim, is selling. And selling isn't a dirty word. Selling is actually about you extending your hand to invite somebody to come in so that you can help them. And if they don't want to, then that's okay. But I promise everyone that's listening here, there are people out there right now that need amazing people like you, that have got ethics and that you really care about them, that need your help. So it's about having that confidence and getting that process in place and testing the market.
I've often said that sales, we internalize it, we make it all about us, and it is not about us. In fact, you're doing your person a disservice by not offering them what you can do for them. So if you think that so you're basically devaluing yourself before you ever get started. So stop that. Okay. So, if you don't value, it goes back to what I said before, if you don't value yourself, no one else will either. So you have to lead with a sense of, I've got something that somebody else is going to get value from. So that's super, super powerful. And you got to step into that. I want to dig in a little bit more. You talked about this testing and having a sales process. What does that look like for somebody that's just getting started? Let's say they're a service-based business and they're like, I don't even know what does that look like? How would somebody start that?
So it actually compromises of three specific things, and these are age-old marketing rules. They never change, Kim. It's actually working out, well, who do I want to serve, right? Because remember, as service providers, we're there to lead with what I like to call a servant heart. That's the way I've always done business, and I figure if you go with that heart and mindset into any type of business relationship, you just will never go wrong. But it's working out who it is that you really want to help. What does that person look like? What does their business look like? And most importantly, what problem do you want to solve? And then it's a process of actually finding those people, because marketing is sales at scale. It's all selling. It's finding those people and having a really genuine conversation. And so having a nice little message to market in there to attract those right types of people, to invite them to come in to help, is vital as well. Once you're chatting those people, it's really about asking a couple of simple questions to find out, is this somebody that I think I can genuinely help? So it's about having a process to qualify that person. And then from there, if you can help them, then you move on to the next part of the process of thinking about, well, okay, what part of my solutions, which is the second thing that we need to have in place, is actually going to be able to help them? Now, if you find at that point that maybe you can't help them, then it's all about leading with that servant heart. Refer them off to somebody that you know in the marketplace that can actually serve them and look after them. So it's really about, who, what, and how, and nutting out that process. And it doesn't need to be complex. And then going and practicing it. If you're new, role play it with a friend. Find someone from this live stream and go, hey, let's buddy up and talk about this, and role play it so that you can get more confident and get that process in place so that you can go find those people.
Yeah.
And the idea is just to keep it really simple, Kim. It doesn't have to be over the top.
And ask the right questions. I mean, if you even had a series of questions that you can do to see if you are a match for that person, I think the questions are powerful too. Because sometimes it's just a conversation, always, I think. But the best questions win, because they're like, how did you know? Like, how did you know I was struggling with that? So sometimes it's just asking questions that lead them to really give you more details, and then repeating that back to them, sometimes.
Yeah, the mirroring. One of the best questions I ever asked when I had my accounting business, when I was chatting with people would ask me what I did. And I always would say, hey, I'm an accountant, but I work with small business owners. to put the words behind the numbers to tell them the story that's actually really going on in their business. That was my message. And
I love that.
Oh, tell me about that. And I'd say, well, let me ask you, do you know at the end of every month where the money goes from your bank account? And I guarantee that question, they were like, actually, no, I've always wondered that. Because it's true. And
I know.
yeah. So for me, I really understood the pain points of small business owners, especially startups, that were wanting to get some help around that. So it really is actually taking some time to understand the people that you want to serve and what keeps them awake, what frustrates them, all of those things. This is where the gold is that you want to be searching for.
I totally agree. So let me ask you this. I think that lots of times when we're at a place where we don't know what to charge, how do people, as entrepreneurs, how do we get to understand what our value is? Do we approach it, and again, depending on what your response is, like sometimes people are trading time for money, like an hourly rate. I'm not a big fan of that, but I'm curious as to I always feel like we bring more value to the relationship than an hourly rate. But when you're first starting, sometimes the hourly rate is a good place to at least start. So how do you usually help people that are at that place where they don't quite know what their value is? What would be your advice to them?
Wow, that's a great question, Kim. I'm going to try and keep this brief because the difference, and when you start getting me talking about hourly billing, I could talk for hours. Hourly billing doesn't serve us, and it actually doesn't serve the client. And I'll explain why. There is no certainty in that arrangement. Imagine if I'm going to go back to my accounting days here and share this. If I was chatting to a small business and the small businesses was like a couple of years behind in doing their tax, right? I'd be saying to them, well, I can't really quote you because I don't know how long it's going to take until I get and do the job, but my hourly rate's $80 an hour. I'll just bill you. Can you imagine what the client would do? They'd be going, what? I've not got any idea of what the client's budget is. And the whole time I go into that engagement, the client's going to be looking over my shoulder going, Mel, how much time is this going to take? Because this is costing me money. It's not a good relationship. I would be far better to have a sales process that allow me the opportunity to scope that project. Actually spend some time looking what needs to be done, estimating the amount of hours that I think that it would take, and giving them a proposal with a couple of options, 2 or 3, for them to pick from with a package price. Far better. And part of that sales process is being real. Like if we get into something and go, you know what, we've discovered a really big problem, then we go back to the client, just like a lawyer would go back to their client and say, hey, we found this. We're seeking your instructions as to how we move forward. It's all just about common sense, but it's giving the client certainty. So the client knows, right, I'm going to get my taxes and my accounting done. And this applies to any type of service-based business. And I know that Mel's told me it's going to cost me $2,500. And if she finds out anything else, she's going to come back and talk to me about it. It's that simple. And when we bundle up payment terms around that to fit in with the client's cash flow, then it literally becomes a no-brainer. I've closed 99% of every sale that's ever come through in nearly all of my businesses using that methodology. And that methodology I also used in my motorcycle dealership. Yes, I had a motorcycle shop. Can you believe that? And I do ride. But this methodology of pricing and packaging and bundling up has worked in retail businesses, especially with high ticket items and also, service-based businesses. That's what you want to do. You want to be giving the client certainty. We can measure our time by the hour, but we don't want to position that or sell it to the client in that way. And that's how we do it.
Such a good job of explaining that. Yeah, I am not same. I'm not a big fan of, trading time for money. I mean, there's always a time factor. I'm not trying to negate the time factor, because there's always a time factor. But, if you're saying, I have $50 an hour, just like you said, you're counting it, and so is the client. And so it puts you under a crunch. And then, and I will say, sometimes if you underestimate the time it's going to take for something, you can get caught with your shorts down. I mean, you could. So you'll get better at it as you go. Sometimes you learn a lesson here and there, right?
That's exactly right. It's about testing. And you know what? What if that client becomes a lifetime client?
Yeah.
Right? Because you did a little bit of extra upfront. You looked after them. You served them well.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
It always, I say serve, don't sell. And if you can lean with that, so feel free to use it. I don't know if I coined it or not, but I use it. I say it all the time. So what are some of the reasons, in your opinion, that you've run into that are barriers to people stepping into their worth and charging their value? What are the holdups? Why do people not feel comfortable doing so? Saying, hey, I'm worth this and I'm going to charge this.
Actually, Kim, you touched on that before. It's actually about self-worth and self-esteem, and bundling up a lack of confidence, but also a lack of experience as well. All of those things together. And I find this often happens in two places in business. It either happens right at the start when you're first starting out business, but it also can happen to people when they're already in business. They might already have a full book of clients they're serving, but they're working huge hours and there's no money in their bank account. Remember how I talked about not having any money in the bank account at the end of the month? It actually comes back to this. And often it's because we're working with the wrong clients and we're not pricing profitably. And it all comes back to those self-worth things. So it's all about mindset. And I know there's so many entrepreneurs and coaching businesses on the market that talk about mindset, but honestly, Kim, it really is important. It's about you thinking in the right way. It's also having confidence in that sales process. So when you go to talk to people, instead, if you're not feeling confident, then that process will give you the confidence. And if you need help with that process, get a mentor, get a coach, get some support in designing that so you can set yourself up for success. But it's actually those couple of things about knowing and backing yourself. And it seems to be something that I've noticed is very common in women. We tend to find that we tend to hold back a little bit. And even women that might appear particularly confident, in the back of your mind, sometimes you might hear that little voice saying, who's going to pay you to do that? Or you're not good enough, or I wish I could be like her. So it's doing that work around yourself and your self-identity and self-worth to say, I am worth this. Think about it this way. If you were your own client, would you want you to help you? It's the biggest thing. And if you think about it in that way, then you are going to be filled with that beautiful confidence and energy to take that forth and go out and say, hey, I'm here to help you. Tell me what's going on. It's a constant choice we make every day to stay in that mindset. And when we move out of it, this is when we get our girls, right? Jody Millwood.
Yes. Well, something you just said that really, and it's a constant battle. I'll say this, because it is a constant battle to build yourself up and say, I'm worth this. Because you have bad days, like let's say, for example, you do a sales call or whatever your sales process is, and they shoot you down and you're like, oh crap, I spent so much time on that. And now, I didn't get the job. Well, I personally, right. And it just means that you were not meant to serve that person. Okay. But one thing that you just said that I love, and I'd love to challenge us all to think about it through this lens, is if you were the client, would you want your help? right? So think about that. So a lot of times, and I say this a lot too, is, and this isn't true for all of us, but for a lot of us, it is. We are, our client or our person is a previous version of ourselves, but we forget that sometimes. We forget it. So you have to lean into understanding, if that's true for you, if your person is a previous version of you, then you can't forget where you came from. You have to remember that. And it can sometimes be difficult. But let me ask this, because you talked about this too, and finding the right clients. And I just touched on it a minute ago. If somebody says no, okay, you weren't meant to serve them. You move on to the next person. But how do we find the right people, Melanie? How do we connect with our people?
Well, that gets down to one of my other favorite topics, which I know is one of yours too, Kim. It's about sales at scale, which is marketing. And marketing isn't just about Facebook, right? It just isn't about digital platforms. Marketing is everywhere. It's actually about building relationships and connecting with people. The digital platforms is an extension of what we do in real life. And this is something that I talk a lot to the people that I work with. The way that you speak to somebody online should be exactly the same way that you would speak to somebody if you met them in a face-to-face network. There are no barriers. There are no barriers. And I think that once we get our head into that space, that the Facebook and Pinterest or Twitter or goodbye Periscope, I remember Periscope, all of those platforms are just another opportunity for us to be able to connect with the people. So you want to test those things like we would go to networking events, right? We're going to go to this new networking event and see what it's like. This is the same way we view platforms. But the thing that underlies that, Kim, is actually having that little message to market, or the other way, other people call it an elevator pitch. I like to call it your offer and message to market. So when people ask you what you do, you're just going to deliver that to them. This is my calling card. I help small businesses be profitable by putting the words behind the numbers so they know the story of what's going on. It's engaging, right? It's not just, I'm an accountant or I'm a bookkeeper or I'm an architect. It's actually interesting. Remember, when you're at a social event, people that are interesting, more people want to talk to. So it's kind of like just the same rules that apply in life. Now, here's the thing. For some people, and I was one of those people too, Kim, it wasn't natural for me to go and learn how to network or even public speak. I've done hundreds of live events on stages all over the world now. But I can tell you, I was not naturally like that. I went and got training. I got skilled. I invested in myself to be better at something that I knew that ultimately would serve me so that I could then get out there and help the right people, if that makes sense.
Yes, and that's so good, because I think, sometimes what happens is we get frustrated when we run into someone, then they say no, right? We're like, it goes back to, you got to let that go because they're not your person. But one thing I love about what you just said is, and we say this all the time, but I hope you really heard it, because she said it in such a way that it's storyfied. I don't even know if that's a word, but I've been using the word, but it storyfies you. It makes you human, and it's not about us. So when somebody introduces or somebody asks you, what do you do? And you say, hey, I'm a whatever. Well, that's about you. It's all about you. So can you repeat what you say when somebody asks you, what do you do?
Yes. So right now, I help women in business command the price they deserve for the value they deliver and design businesses they love.
Yes. So it goes back to, I know you think, well, it still says exactly what it is she does, but it's not like I'm an accountant.
Let me put it this way.
You flipped the dynamic totally, and you made it all about your person.
How does it sound when I say I'm a business coach? Everyone goes, oh, man, the world does not need another business coach.
Right. But if you say, if you make it about what it is, the transformation that you offer, that's a whole different thing. And so I'd like to challenge you guys to think about it the next time somebody asks you what it is you do. Even when I say monetization strategist, like, what the heck is that? Like, that's why I go on to say, like, I love helping people make more money in their business, because that's really what I love to do. And it's not about me, it's all about them. But at the same time, you get stuck sometimes in the traditional model. So change your dynamic and make it about the transformation that you offer your person the next time somebody asks you what you do. And I bet you anything, they'll ask you more. Doesn't that happen to you, Melanie? Like when you say that to somebody versus a business coach where they're like, oh, great, let's boogie out of here quick, versus what they ask you, right? They dig in a little bit more and want to know more about it. I bet you anything.
The thing is, Kim, they do. We're actually not selling a solution. The client actually doesn't care about that. What we are actually selling and offering and helping them with is delivering a future, a desired situation that they picture in their head of where they want to be. For somebody, I'm going to go back to the accounting scenario, because obviously accounting practice is such a big part of my life. But a lot of the time people would come to me and go, I'm 5 years behind in my tax returns. The IRS is chasing me. What am I going to do? And we would say, okay, so tell me what it would be like for you if all of this was cleaned up. You had profit in the business, you had money in the bank. What would life be like for you? And they would stop in their tracks, because most people forget to ask these things. And I would give them a moment and I would be silent and allow them to think and articulate what that's like. This is actually what we are selling to our clients.
I love that you dug into that a little bit more, because lots of times everybody says, well, what's the transformation? What are you offering people? And I just did it. But at the end of the day, why do people do what they do? So think about your person, like you were just saying, when we start a business, yeah, we want to make money, but why? Dig deeper. Like, why do we want to make more money? Maybe we want our kids to go to a private school. Maybe we want to take a vacation that we haven't had in 5 years. What does money affect for people? And it's usually not just for the sake of having money. It's for something bigger. It's something, usually, to your point, it's having a life that gives them options and freedom. And that's really, if you're in our lane, where you're trying to help people make more money, then that's really what they're after. They're after that bigger why, not necessarily the money. The money is just a means to an end.
It's a vehicle.
Yeah.
The business is a vehicle. And this gets back to that mindset thing. The only reason we should ever go into business is it's a vehicle to deliver something for us. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time it's because we actually do what we love in that business. But there's also the financial reward there, and we should be getting paid well for what we're doing. And that business vehicle should also be giving us the funds that we need to wealth create for our future. Absolutely.
And for others. I mean, because, as a business owner, we affect other people's lives. If we build teams, mm-hmm. Then we're paying and making a difference for other people as well. So there's just so many things that goes into the bigger picture of what money brings our way, so think about that too. If your end goal is helping people, get more business or whatever, that why do they want more business? Think about it from that perspective. I love that. I'm so glad you brought that out. So we talked a little bit about this, but I think it's such a big problem, especially when people are first starting out. And trying to figure out what their pricing model is going to look like. Yeah. It's imposter syndrome. I run into this a lot. Like, I'm not expert enough. So what would you say to somebody who is in that place where they're like, I'm afraid I'm not good enough yet, or I haven't learned enough yet? Oh, don't get me started, because I could go on. I could answer this question for days, but I would love to hear what you say about this.
Thank you so much for raising this topic, Kim. I think the first thing is the fact that you are actually admitting this and speaking this out is the first step forward. That you've actually recognized this is a roadblock for you, And so getting it out there is great. The second thing is get help. If you've got friends or people in your network or in the same industry, or other friends that are in business that you can go and have a coffee with and talk to and be really transparent and share with them where you're at, get the help. The third thing is get a mentor or get somebody or a coach that actually can help you navigate this process. And the investment that you make in yourself to actually have a process around this, and that's all it is. The process will give you confidence, and the people around you will keep you accountable to work through the process and hold you up whilst you're navigating it. You'll get through it. And here's the thing, it only takes 1 or 2 wins and you are off and running. I see this so many times. I have women that have never ever run businesses before that are coming in, and they're getting their first and second clients, and they're often building $10,000 a month businesses. And these are women that have been employed and not been in the workforce for a long time and started businesses. It's that process of getting the support around you and a process and going and doing it. Don't giving up. Doing the actions and taking the activity every single day is what I see is what really helps with that.
Oh, I love that. Such good advice. So yeah, I'm a big fan of kind of pushing people to take the leap and build their wings on the way down, because we never know enough. It's like, I don't know if you have children or not. But,
I do. 3 boys.
All right. Good. I have 2, so boy moms here. But I remember when we were trying to decide, well, when were we going to have our first child? And I'm like, okay, we don't have enough money yet, or we don't have enough this yet, or we don't have enough that yet. And this is true. That was true, of course, when we were trying to make decisions about having children, but it's true for a lot of stuff. We put things off. I had a client one time. She was in my mastermind, and for the life of me, and to this day, and that's been years ago, she's in learn mode still, and she won't pull the trigger. She just feels like she can't get beyond that in her head. She'll say it out loud, but then when it comes time to bring a client on or whatever, it's still like she just struggles to have confidence enough in herself. And honestly, confidence comes from doing.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
It does. It comes from doing. So, you really only need to be a couple of steps ahead of the person behind you. Just reach your hand back and help them. You don't have to know it all. And I have found that if I don't know something, I own it. I'm curious about you. Like if somebody asks me a question, I don't know, but I'll find out. I just own that I don't know everything. Has that scenario ever happened to you where,
all the time. So even in this business now that I'm in, and it's about building the business more than you as well. It's if you're in a business as a sole operator, have a network of people around you that are experts in their field. Yeah. So if you're serving somebody and that you can see that they've got a need for insurance, have an insurance broker or insurance person. You can say, hey, this guy's really good. He really looks after me. One of the things that we do in my business is my friend Jodie Millwood, who led me to you, has this amazing ads manager training, and she trains up these beautiful women. And it's great because then I can connect some of my clients that need media buyers. It's this beautiful scenario where you've got a network of people. So I've got a team of coaches that work in my business with me that are Facebook ad specialists or workflow and systems and team building specialists. It's always about having those people around you that can serve your client, whether it's with you or indirectly.
Well, I love that you said that, because I think a lot of times when we are starting, we worry we're a one man, one person show. Like, how can we how can we be competitive with somebody? So what's your thoughts on that? What would you say to somebody who says that, hey, I'm just a one woman, one man show, and I'm not sure I can do the same things that, you know, my competitor over there is doing because I don't have a team, or I don't have this. I always, that's another thing, because I get wrapped up a little bit when people say I don't have, you know, what do you have? But what would you say to somebody that's in that place where they're like fearful that they're not going to be, you know, they're not going to match up?
So first of all, you would never say that, because remember, you said this before, Kim, it's actually never about us. What we want to be focusing on is being 100% diagnostic. It's looking at the client's problem and then working out, okay, are we the right people to solve that problem? And those thoughts of insecurity and inferiority, or worrying about what the competition was, a very wise person said to me once, Mel, never look over your shoulder at the competition. It was the best. One of my CEOs at Xero actually said that to me. And I was going, you know, head on head at that time with QuickBooks in America, you know, and I love QuickBooks, but that's a pretty big competitor. But you can't let yourself go into that mindset. So you've got to push those thoughts away and be very diagnostic. Think like a doctor. Can I solve this person's problems? In my toolbox, do I have the 1, 2, 3, 4-step process to solve that problem? Think about it. Yes, I do. Right. Okay. What is my package solution with a price to actually deliver that? That is all we need to think about. When we look diagnostically at a problem and look at it logically, if we actually don't believe that we have the resources to solve the problem, then we've got to be real with ourselves and go, okay, what resources am I missing? Can I solve some of the problem and recommend someone else to do this part? If you stick to being logical and diagnostic, you will never go wrong. What upsets the apple cart is when we allow those thoughts to come through. So what you've got to start to do is when those thoughts come up, go, you know what? Those thoughts aren't part of my process, so I'm going to push them away. I'm going to go back to step 2 of my process, which is actually diagnosing the problem, and then step 3, which is finding if I can deliver a solution. If you stick to that, you will never go wrong.
I love that advice. So early on, when we first got started, somebody was talking about they were underpriced and overworked. So that happens a lot. So let's talk about that for a second, and that context. So if somebody has, you know, taken on potentially the wrong clients, maybe they're not the wrong clients, maybe they're the right clients, they've just undervalued what they do for that client. Where do they go now? How do they, you know, raise their prices? How do they approach their clients and say, hey, you know, what's that scenario look like so that they can fix this imbalance?
So we help a lot of people with this problem. We call it transitioning, and it's not just about service-based clients. This is for products or online programs or whatever it is. What you're looking at doing is that you've got an offer, you've priced it at a certain point, and you've got clients that you're still servicing under that pricing point, and it's not profitable. The logical thing is you have to transition your business from being not profitable, which means you're working too much, you're not getting paid what you're worth, right, to profitable. So you have to actually increase the prices and potentially maybe change some of those service agreements. But here's the thing. Most people get really scared at this point, and they just want to do an email and send it out to all of their clients and go, we'll just wait and see what happens, right? Think about it. If you've been working with this person for X amount of time, you've developed a relationship, how would you feel if you got an email about a price increase with no explanation? The first thing you're going to do with a person on the other end is be price sensitive and feel devalued. So what it's all about, it's going back to having that sales process again, Kim, in the same way you would bring on a new client. When you're transitioning your clients from one pathway to a more profitable pathway, you've got to have a process to take them through. And that process is all about having a meeting and a conversation, revisiting the service agreement, understanding What's important? Are they happy with what you're doing? Are we meeting all of their outcomes they require? And if they are, then it's having the conversation to say, hey, we've been working together for X amount of time. We're having a service price increase. And because the fact is that we've grown and we need to be more profitable to keep continuing to serve our clients as we grow. And you know what? That's the truth. If you are truthful, you can never go wrong. Now, people that value you and what you do are going to go, okay, I understand that. But can you step me through what that would look like? And that's when we give them some package options and present it to them. Now, two things are going to happen here. One, the client will come on board, tick, happy days. Two, they'll go, well, actually, no, we don't want to do that. And that's the point. Then you need to say, well, if you want to stay at the same price, we're going to have to remove some services to deliver at that price, or we'll have to part ways. Now, what I say to people when they're going through this transition process, normally what we do is go through, bring a new client on, and then we move it out. So we get you to segment your client list and work out, who are my good clients, who are the B clients, who are the C clients, the churn clients that maybe we really don't want to be working with. And we do deal with those first. But the way that you want to structure this is in a way that isn't going to upset your cash flow into your business. You need to manage it carefully. Sometimes I meet people and they go, you know what? I just need to get rid of 10 clients because I'm working 80 hours a week. I can't do this anymore and they're driving me crazy. And sometimes it's just a big cut. So it really depends on the outcome that you're looking. But what I would say here is you want to lead into this process with a lot of care and grace and respect, because these people have trusted you and you're serving them. So don't hide behind the email. Make sure you have that conversation and lead them through that sales process. That was a long-winded answer, Kim.
No, I loved it because, you never disrespect those who are opening up their wallet to pay you, right? I mean, you got to honor that, and it is a relationship. And sometimes it is about just calling the ones that are a pain in your tush. I mean, if they suck down. So I don't know about you, but I've had clients where I had, a client that was at the bottom tier of the package pricing. It was taking up way more time and energy because they were the squeaky wheel. So y'all know, I'm sure if you've done services before, you've got some that just are difficult and they're hard to work with, and you can never please them. And they take up so much more of your time and energy than, somebody who may be paying you more. So you have to look at, but that doesn't mean you still have to treat them with respect, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
So,
and you can be respectful
yes,
for having a conversation to say, hey, you know what, this actually isn't working for me. This is why.
Yeah. And sometimes it's, when you have those conversations, it's kind of difficult because it's one of those things where we all want the cheapest price, right? So one thing that might help if you're going down this road where you need to raise your prices is the perception of additional value. And it could be something that is more, it's super valuable to them, but doesn't cost you time and energy on your side. So it could be, a training course you have, or, something that it has that perception of value. You're going to raise
Boxer.
Yes,
like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So many things you can do that, gets them over the edge. They're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had that all along. I'll pay for that. Absolutely. So it's just repositioning. My old business partner used to call it moving the cheese.
Oh, yes, I like that.
Right? So you just move the cheese a little bit. Well, as we're going to pull our winners out and we'll get those up and tell everybody who won what here in a moment. But Melanie, tell everybody where they can connect with you on social or wherever you want them to connect with you. Where's a good place?
Great. Well, you can find me at melaniepower.com. My social handles are all under @the Mel Power. You search for any of those, you'll find me. Add me as a friend on Facebook, like my page. I'd love to connect with you. I'm always interested in hearing stories about people in business that are facing roadblocks or overcoming them. You know, I've got a Facebook group, Command the Price You Deserve. Come on in, have a chat. I promise we're not all accountants and bookkeepers in there, but if you are looking for one, it's probably a good place to connect and find one. But Kim, I've had such fun being with you today, and also chatting with you, another woman that's as passionate as I am about serving others and seeing people just grow and design businesses that are really what they want. It's been an honor. Thank you for having me.
Same, girl, same. I love it. I love connecting with others that have servant-based hearts. I mean, I'm very big on that myself. So I have one last question for you. What is a question that I should have asked but didn't?
Oh, what do I like to do when I'm not at work?
Yes, I want to know. Do y'all want to know? I do. What do you do? What do you like to do? Now, you kind of hinted, so I wonder, like, is it the motorcycles?
Well, I don't ride anymore. My husband does, but I do love jumping on the back with a bike. But I'm a musician, so I have a beautiful baby grand piano, and my family are all musicians. So that's usually one of my favorite things to do, either playing or seeing them performing somewhere. So
that is so awesome. Yes. You just better be lucky that I didn't know about this before. We would have had you sing and dance or whatever on the show today, right? We may have to have you come back. Entertainment, I'm just saying. So let me pull up all of our winners here. Let's see. Hang on just a second. Kathy and Monica won the copy of Melanie's upcoming book. So just reiterating that it won't be out until the fall. So we'll make a note in our management process on the back end that as soon as it's available, we'll order those and get them out to you. I'm excited about that for you. I can't wait to see the book myself. And we were just talking about it went beforehand, and there may be some special like goodies too. I'm just saying, I'm hint. Yes. And then Karen won the 3-month access to the Business Builders Academy. So just go over to kimgarst.com. All three of you guys, for kimgarst.com/winner. Drop in your details, and Karen will get you set up in the Business Builders Academy, and then the 2 book winners will get out to you in the fall as soon as the book comes out. So thank you guys so much for being here with Melanie and I. I hope you got some great value today, and I hope you maybe we said something that struck a nerve or will encourage you to take some action in some different directions. So go connect with Melanie. You're going to be super blessed by that. I just want to say thanks for being here with us, spending time with us. I know time is a valuable commodity, and when you spend it with us, we appreciate you so much for that. So take care of yourselves, stay safe, and God bless. And before I forget, don't forget, next week we will be back on time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have our special guest next week is going to be my sweet friend, Jay Bear. So if y'all don't know Jay Bear, I can't promise you that he'll wear one of his signature suits, but you're still going to be blessed. So come join us. We'll see you next week, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Melanie, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody. You're blessed.